Your thumb unlocks the screen before your brain admits you're hiding. You're in a room that hums like a beehive, names you don't remember, laughter you can't quite join, a silence that suddenly lands on you like a spotlight. And there it is, glow on your face, a tiny rectangle held like a talisman, no emergencies, no reason to check. But the ritual works, you look busy, you look safe. We usually explain this as I'm antisocial or I'm addicted. It sounds neat and a little hopeless. But what if the phone in your hand is less a vice and more a shield, an ancient reflex wearing modern glass? Not escape, self protection. A portable excuse that tells the room, I'm occupied. Don't evaluate me yet. Human parties feel modern, but the pressure inside them is prehistoric. In small bands, being watched was never neutral. Eyes meant rank. Rank meant access to food, protection, and mating. The worst pain wasn't physical, it was exclusion. Your body still treats being judged as a biological threat, and it readies a response long before you can draft a witty line. Psychologists have spent decades poking this bruise. Put someone in a lab, make them give a short speech while strangers stare with flat faces, and you don't just get a sweaty palms, you get measurable surges in stress chemistry, heart rate climbs, cortisol rises. The more your performance is open to judgment by others, the stronger the biological alarm. A party is just the lab without the clipboard. The trick is that threat doesn't need a predator, it needs an audience. That's why the simplest relief is a thin story that lowers the stakes. If you can signal, I'm not available to be judged right now, your nervous system loosens its grip. Enter the silent language of busyness, a drink in hand, a jacket you fiddle with, or, most efficient of all, a glowing companion that promises you have somewhere else to be. Sociologists have a phrase for the choreography we do among strangers, the kind of subtle looking away that grants each other dignity. We offer micro permission to exist without performance. The phone exaggerates that move. It's a portable do not disturb sign, a curtain you can pull whether you think stand by the snacks or drift alone near the doorway. But the shield has a cost you can feel but not see. Researchers found that just having a phone on the table, nobody scrolling, nobody calling, makes conversations shallower. People report less closeness, less empathy, less trust. The object itself whispered that a more interesting world could interrupt at any second, so we never fully step into each other. The wall is soundproof in both directions. There's another twist. Even when you're not touching it, your own phone quietly taxes your mind. Experiments show that the mere presence of the device reduces available cognitive capacity. It's like placing a puzzle on the desk that your brain keeps half solving in the background. You feel duller, not because you're boring, but because part of your attention is handcuffed to a glowing promise you aren't even using. If that sounds small, test it. The next time you talk, slip your phone into another room. The conversation stretches longer. Jokes land cleaner. You hear the turn in someone's breath you usually miss. Nothing mystical happened. You just returned processing power to the moment. You gave the other person a signal that says, I'm here, and your body believed you. Still, there's a reason the phone feels so soothing at the exact second panic rises. When you hold it, you're not only avoiding attention, you're borrowing support. In scans, holding a trusted person's hand softens the brain's threat centers under stress. Social proximity literally turns the volume down on danger. Your phone is a counterfeit version of that hand. It carries your people, photos, chats, proof of belonging. In the blur of a hard moment, your nervous system doesn't check for authenticity. It reaches for the nearest symbol of my group. The glow says, you still have a tribe. This is why you open the same 3 apps and read nothing. The content is irrelevant. What you want is the feeling of linkage, of a cord plugged into a larger web where you matter. The scroll is secondary. The ritual is primary, like touching a locket, like straightening a uniform. The act itself steadies you. There's a more uncomfortable layer. Sometimes we hide in the phone not to escape others, but to control how they see us. If you look busy, you can be judged as needy. If you look amused by some secret message, you can be measured by the awkwardness of standing alone. It's a preemptive strike against humiliation, and it works up to a point. You pay with invisibility. You can be rejected, but you also can't be found. And When two shields face each other, the room fills with ghosts. You get a party where nobody risks the first hello because every face already belongs elsewhere. The phone erases the tiny friction that used to push strangers into accidental conversations, the uneasy glance that becomes a smile that becomes a story. It gives you perfect control over your exposure, which quietly deletes the serendipity that made gatherings worth the anxiety. But don't turn this into shame. You aren't broken for wanting cover. Your brain is calibrating risk on your behalf, same as it did around ancient fires. In the right dose, the shield is smart. It gives you a breath, a regroup, a way to choose your moment rather than be chosen by it. Your body rewards you for that choice with a little calm. The trouble begins when the ritual becomes reflex. When the phone leaps up at the first tremor, you train the anxiety to arrive earlier. Next time, you teach your mind that exposure is dangerous and safety equals glow. Over weeks, the threshold drops. Your world shrinks to places where you can hold the shield without apology. And the cost is paid by a future you who wants a friend, a chance, a life a little bigger than this screen. There's another paradox. Many of us hide in the phone precisely when we want connection the most. You stand alone because you don't know how to begin. The shield delays the risk, but it also delays the reward. By the time you finally pocket it, your window has narrowed. The people you hope to meet have drifted into circles that now feel impossible to enter. The shield preserved your dignity and stole your evening. It helps to see what your body is attempting. It is not choosing isolation, it is choosing control. It prefers certain shallow safety over uncertain deeper contact. That's reasonable. It's also a miscalculation, because the same research that shows judgment stings also shows that warm human presence turns off the alarm faster than any ritual. Eye contact that is friendly, a touch that is welcomed, a laughter that makes you a co-author of a moment instead of a spectator. And here's an unglamorous truth. Quiet courage usually hides in tiny acts. You think you need to perform, you don't. You need to offer a soft opening, a comment about the music, a shared annoyance about the air conditioning. It's not small talk, it's shared permission to be ordinary. The first neutral exchange lowers the temperature enough that better words can surface. What about that fear of being judged? It's real, but it is also wildly amplified inside your head. The famous illusion that everyone notices you more than they do keeps you bracing for a verdict that rarely comes. Most people at that party are running the same calculus, peeking at the same glow, hoping someone else will become an exit door from their own loop. Understanding this doesn't magically end the reflex, it just gives you a new frame. When your thumb rises, your body is asking for a buffer. You can grant it, which is humane. Or you can sometimes offer an alternative. You can lend yourself the phone's function without using the phone. Plant your feet, breathe to the bottom of your ribs. Let your eyes rest on one detail in the room until your pulse steps down. Then look for the least defended person and go easy. No speech, just the first possible line. There's a strange freedom in naming the ritual instead of pretending it's weakness. It turns the phone from a secret craving into a visible tool. Once it's a tool, you can put it down for a minute without feeling naked. You can even decide to keep holding it and still meet someone's eyes, showing the room you're both safe and present. You don't have to pick a side. You will still have nights where the glow wins, where you spend an hour scrolling through lives that feel better rehearsed than yours. You'll walk home with that flat ache that says, like, I missed it. That ache is not proof of failure. It's a compass needle twitching toward the thing you wanted all along, to matter in a room where someone could matter to you. So the question isn't, why do I hide? You already know. The question is, what tiny risk tonight would feel like a kindness to future me? The answer might be small enough to miss if you're staring into your palm. Maybe the most subversive move in a loud room is this quiet one. You lock the screen, let your empty hands be visible, and allow the awkwardness to wash over you like cold water. Then you watch what happens next. Not because you're brave, because you're curious about a life that only begins when both shields are down.